Okay, BedBug, let's get to work. The gloves are coming off. Actually, I need these. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I'd like to apologise about the lighting and the noise in the background. Unfortunately, the weather in Japan currently is a bit bad, so just bear with me on that one. Today we're going to fit the crotch coolers on Project BedBug. So before I could even think about installing these crotch coolers, I did have to do a bit of repair work on both sides of these front quarter panels. Unfortunately, BedBug's front quarter panel on the passenger side has had a bit of a beating. You can see there it's creased and it's lost its shape around here. Not only that, I did have some holes and a lot of rot down this section here. I'm going to do my best to straighten this panel out in another video, but what I wanted to do is concentrate on this area here. I cut out a section and replaced it with some new steel. What I also did is refabricated a little roll edge here just to make it look a bit more OE. But the driver's side quarter panel seems to be in better shape. I did have to plug weld a couple of areas here where something was bolted through, but the problem was at the bottom here, that was rotten. So what I've done is just fabricated a new section here and welded it into place. And yet again, I did continue this rolled edge down here just to make it look factory. And so these areas have now been repaired. That means I can go ahead and fit our crotch cooler vents in this area here. I mean, these are great. They're fitted on early bugs, and you can open the flap here from the inside and allow fresh air to circulate around the inside of the car. So the first thing I need to do is remove this flap from the unit just so I can template it, and then I can template this section onto the quarter panel and give me a rough idea where this vent's going to sit. So what I've done is I've just templated the flap, transferred it onto a piece of cardboard and marked it on the quarter panel where I want this to sit. Then what I can do is cut the hole out, and then I'm hoping to post this panel into position. So then what I can maybe do is mark and maybe drill these corners here so I know where the inside of the hole is going to be on the inside of the quarter panel. And at this point, it doesn't really matter if I go slightly larger than the size of the flap when cutting this hole out. And that's because the people that made this panel have actually supplied a generous amount of meat around the outside. So then there is a little bit of wiggle room. So what I've just done is offered the panel into position just so I could get my pen in there and mark the inside area like this. And on these corners here, I can punch and drill them, and that front part there. And then on the inside, I know where this hole's going to be. And on the inside you can see the holes there that I've just drilled, and what I've done is I've just used the internal part of the bezel there to just offer it up and mark with a pen the inside. So now I know which bit I need to cut out. So that's that inner section cut out now, which means I can then offer in this panel like so. One thing that's worth mentioning though, this panel is flat and the quarter panel is curved, so I will have to do something with these edges, kind of manipulate them as I weld it into position. Another thing is I'd like to put some kind of flanged edge on the quarter panel when I weld this into position, and I would like to remove some material as well. I think this section here is a little bit too big, so I'm just going to cut that off there, maybe a bit here and a little bit down this edge as well. So what I've done is I've marked the panel, which is this blue line, in its position sitting flush on the side of this quarter panel, and then I've marked it again about 10 mil down from that line. This is where I'm going to use the joggling tool or the flange tool just to punch a tiny little step, so this panel that I'm going to put on is going to sit flush. But of course you don't have to do this, you could just plonk it on there, cut it out and then weld the panel flush into position. So what I've done is just tap the panel into position just around here and check the measurements, and I'm pretty happy that it's in the right place. All I need to do now is continue welding around the outside and grind it back. So the next thing I need to do is install this inner bezel, and there's plenty of ways you could do it. You could drill these out, plug weld it, drill them out and screw them on. There's even some little tags here which you can drill and screw. But what I've decided to do is I'm just going to plug weld here and at the top here just to hold this bezel into position. If I do decide to kind of change how I install this at a later date, I can easily just get rid of these welds and pull this bezel off. So I was just about to tack weld that bezel into position, and then there was a knock at the door. Some more parcels have turned up. So it's not my birthday, so I can assume that these are bits for Project BedBug. Let's get them unboxed. So this is what we've got. This is the panel that sits above the engine lid on the back of a VW bus. Has the hinges there and it flaps open here. Hoping to use something like that on the back of this truck. I've got some strips here. These are the ones that hold the rubber seals for underneath the bonnet area. There's also 2 outer skylight panels. We're hoping to use these on the roof of BedBug just to make it look a little bit more unique. The shape, I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's going to be one of those suck it and see kind of things. Next up, we've got a front section of the floor pan. The driver's side of the pan is pretty bad shape on BedBug, so replacing this, well, it's going to be a vast improvement to that whole rotten section that I've got at the moment. So there we go, that's the crotch cooler installed. There's also a tiny spring that goes in here and that allows it to spring back open and closed. And on the inside it's just simple lever that you push and it opens and closes the flap. Oh, this is cool. So that's one crotch cooler installed. I just need to do the other side and install that in the same manner here. So doing work on cars like this is hard graft, but sometimes you just have to use your beast mode. Unfortunately, I was all out of beast mode and my lovely wife went out and she purchased some more beast mode. You can actually get beast mode in a coffee. Thank you, Japan. So there we go, that's the other crotch cooler vent installed on the other quarter panel. And the insides look like this with the bezel, and there's a little lever here, and it's all sprung loaded. You just push it and it flicks open. And with the vents fitted, the only other thing that's missing from this kit is the mesh here, and the customer has ordered those, so that should arrive soon too. So what do you guys think of these crotch cool events? Personally, I think they're wicked. I think the customers made a really good decision on these. It certainly makes a rather unique truck even more special. So that's another little bite done on Project BedBug, but it's not over yet. There's a whole heap of other stuff that I need to get on with. And at this point, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing next on this project. I guess you guys will just have to wait for the next video. So I'm going to leave it there for today. We got those crotch cool events in, so I'm super chuffed with that. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers! Seriously, Japan, you never cease to amaze me.